So I think if we were going to develop a marine waste roadmap for the African continent, it's quite an ask, because there are just so many facets, and the question is, what do you start with first? But I think that I would probably say there would be two key angles for me in terms of how we actually address this issue going forward in Africa before it actually becomes the size of issue we expect it to become. And I think the one for me would actually just be around the responsible management of waste at source. So I think, if we look at the way in which waste is managed inland, in cities and towns across Africa, we are faced with numerous challenges around uncontrolled dumping of waste, of litter, of illegal dumping, of improperly managed landfill sites. And so we're sitting with this waste that ultimately gets into our urban rivers, it gets into our stormwater channels, and ultimately gets into the sea. So I would tend to say we have to put proper measures in place to actually deal with our waste. Proper waste collection services, proper waste disposal services. Before we start to do all of the fancy things of recycling and reuse and all of those kinds of things, we actually need a solid foundation of proper city cleansing and waste management. And I think the other angle that goes hand in hand with that is the issue of communication and awareness. Because are people even aware of the impacts of not managing their waste responsibly? And that may be all the way from citizens in terms of what you generate in your house, all the way up to governments. Do they understand the consequences of not properly managing waste? And so I think that we actually need a concerted effort across the continent to raise awareness around the problems that not managing waste pose. And it's not just around, the ultimate impact on the marine environment, but, impacts on disease and loss of resources into economies. There are a whole host of reasons why we should be properly managing waste. So for me, those would be the two key angles that I would look at. But to do that, you really have to get the willingness and the buy-in of multiple stakeholders. You need governments to come on board and to be committed to this problem, to addressing the problem. You need communities to come on board. You need the research community to come on board and to provide the data and the evidence that we need in terms of the size of the problem and where is the problem. So you've really got to mobilize so many stakeholders in this process. But we have to do it. We have no choice but to address the problem.